Welcome to the High Impact Man podcast. High impact men from across the nation sharing their stories of inspiration, encouragement, and hope.
Gosh, seek transformational relationships.
What you're hearing from the culture is not right.
Pick up the six, you know what I mean? But you never know who your six sometimes is.
Stop being less.
To help others become the virtuous leaders they are called to be and that our nation desperately needs.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the High Impact Man podcast. This is Nevin Gorky. I'm known as DFib to the men in F3. I'm joined, as always, by Troy Klinger. He's known as Dial-Up to the men in F3. And, I was trying to think.
Hold on. I'm just going to cut you off right here because I know where we're going to go. And I just want to let all of our listeners know that if you want to get a drink, get a snack, or take care of any business that you need to do, there's probably going to be like a 5 to 10 minute blah, 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 Eagles, blah, blah, blah. I predicted the victory, blah, blah, blah. I almost had the score right, blah, blah, blah. Told you it was going to be a blowout, blah, blah, blah. A dynasty. So here's your chance, folks, to escape just for a little bit. I would say set your watches, come back in 5 minutes, and you'll probably avoid anything that you don't want to hear about the Eagles.
Well.
And you were not expecting that, were you?
I was expecting something, but
this is great.
You stole all my thunder there. Thanks a lot. We are recording this on, what's today, the 13th?
12th.
February the 12th. Just a reminder to all you men out there. In
2
days, it's an amateur hour. Okay, I say Valentine's Day for amateurs because I'm romantic all year long. But anyway, you got 2 days till Valentine's Day, so you can let the card makers and the florists make a little money. But just a reminder to you boys out there, it's Valentine's Day. It is never wasted to tell your wife how much you love her. You don't have to buy flowers. You don't have to get an expensive card. Write her a note. Make her breakfast. Do the darn dishes in the laundry. I did that yesterday, Dial-Up. All right, anyway. Yeah, what did happen just a few days ago, Dial-Up? Oh, wait, let's see. You already talked about it.
Yeah, sorry.
My Eagles destroyed the Kansas City Chiefs. 44-22, and it really wasn't that close. The score is not even indicative of how big a beatdown that was.
Yeah,
we'll call that an old-fashioned you-know-what whooping.
Yeah, you look back at the score, years from now, and you're going to think it was a decent game, but it wasn't.
No, it was over at halftime, 24-0 at halftime.
People can claim all they want that they saw that coming, but no one saw that coming.
I did.
No,
I did.
Okay.
You know why I thought that the Eagles were going to win comfortably? I didn't think they would kill the Chiefs' offense that much. I didn't think they would sack him as often as they did, but I knew that they would because if you look at the point differential throughout the season, the Eagles' point differential was huge. In other words, they were like plus 200, I can't remember, but really high, right? And Kansas City's point differential was really low. They only had, one loss, but their point differential was like 30. I was really low. And so the turnover margin for the Eagles over the last like 15 games or whatever it was. So anyway, those two things. And I really thought that my Eagles would win pretty easy. But I couldn't say it out loud before the game, though. I couldn't say that out loud. I wrote it down, and I put a note on the board at work, and I said, open after the Super Bowl. So anyway. Yes, all right, we won't talk anymore about that. But I'm not going to say dynasty. It's way too early. They are not a dynasty. But if they sign, they only got a few key guys to sign in the offseason. Just one more thing. Beach Ball, I know you listen to this. Beach Ball is one of our PAX members. He was a guest on the High Impact High Impact Man podcast in the past. He's a Cowboys fan. You know how us Eagles fans feel about the Cowboys. Hopefully the rest of the world is in line with me on this. But I think the Eagles are probably going to get Myles Garrett. Just saying. They're in a really good position to pick up Myles Garrett. But anyway. Enough about the birds.
Beach Ball's already saying next year's our year.
Yeah, right. Cowboys fans think every year is their year, right?
We love you, Beach Ball.
All right. Well, our guest today is the one and only Huckleberry. For those of you who are watching us on YouTube or whatever other channels out there show our pretty faces, this is Jonathan Stevens, and he is rocking on an amazing rat's nest right there. A beard. All right, look at that thing. Things could live in it.
You could kick a rabbit out from under that thing.
He hasn't shaved his beard since the Cowboys last won a Super Bowl. But
That's probably.
for those of you who can't hear, his beard is way down there. Okay, it's Rip Van Winkle-like. And, yeah, that's how long it's been since the Cowboys has won a Super Bowl. Did I go there again? I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
That
was a little improv on the last one, too, I think.
Yeah. Huckleberry, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be on here. It's an honor. Super excited for this new position, and look forward to talking with you guys.
Yeah, so for people that don't know, and a lot of you probably don't know yet because it's relatively new, Dark Helmet has an SLT. That's a shared leadership team for the nation, various different positions that are filled by men to come together and help make F3 everything we can make it from a national perspective to support and encourage men that are out there getting after it in the gloom. And Huckleberry is the Q of culture for the national SLT. He's coming to us from Idaho. Yes, Idaho. That's one of our states. And he's loving the snow. I don't know why. He likes the cold weather and the snow. But Huckleberry, this is the part of the show where Dial-Up and I have to play Guess How Our Guest Got His F3 Name. So, Dial-Up, I will tell you that a huckleberry is really a type of berry. It's related to the blueberry. All right, but I don't think it has anything to do with berries. I think it has something to do with that darn beard. I haven't found any slang that means anything except, if you ever watched the movie, what was it, Tombstone?
Tombstone?
Where Doc Holliday says, I'm your huckleberry. That means I'm your man, or I'm the man that could get it done in Southern America slang. And in the country out there. So he's the man that could get it done. But I still think somehow it's related to the beard. I don't know how it's related to the beard, but that's all I'm going to say is I think he got the name because something to do with that prominent facial hair. What do you think, Dial-Up?
Yeah, I think there's a tie to the movie Tombstone in some way. And that was what? That was Val Kilmer, right?
Yeah, that's right.
That's what I'm trying to connect. Was there some other way that maybe connected through Val Kilmer that got to Tombstone that got yeah, not sure. I'm just gonna go with I'm the man for that task, and somehow that came up.
All right, Huckleberry, fill us in. What's the truth? How'd you get that name?
I was an assistant principal, and I'd been running a lot, and one of the parents there was like, "Hey, come to this workout group," and
pay no attention to that high-pitched screeching sound you all hear.
What's loud?
Go ahead, Huckleberry.
He said, "Be careful what you say. Just be careful what you say." And then I said, "I run. I'm an assistant principal. Like, what do you do in your spare time?" "I hang out with my kids." "What's your kid's name?" "My kid's name is Finn." And so it was that simple. I got the name Huckleberry because of my son, Finn.
What's your son's name?
Finnegan William.
Finnegan. Oh.
Yeah.
Finnegan. Begin again.
I still don't understand how that makes you a Huckleberry.
Huckleberry Finn, Mark Twain version.
DFib's a little slow on the uptake. All right.
You know, and it's kind of cool. I grew up in southern Illinois, which is that Mark Twain area. That's kind of my Jeffco region. So, and then I moved to Idaho, where the huckleberry is the state fruit, and it grows wild here. And I could just tell you,
really,
it's astronomical to me that, you know, my relationship with F3, and we'll probably get this a little bit later, wasn't there. And then and when I moved to Idaho, I honestly kind of took on Huckleberry, and it all fit.
All right.
It just you know, one of those things. It just all came together.
And that's the rest of the story. All right.
Yeah. I don't even think you could get the name Huckleberry in Idaho. It's too good. It's like getting a Wolverine in Michigan or Steelers, and you're just not getting it. So there's a Tater here and a Huckleberry here that we didn't get named here.
Tater chip. All right. Well,
right.
Huckleberry, we're glad you got that name. It's a good name. It could be much worse. So tell us your F3 origin story. Who aged you? How long ago? How'd you get involved?
A cool kid named Treadmill, Barry Raines, out of Lexington, South Carolina. He just a good friend, and then he kept just EH me, and I was a runner, and I just didn't go to boot camps. I was so scared. We were running 30, 40 miles a week, and I, you know, runners, once you get to that high mileage, you just don't want to lose it. And so I was scared of the boot camps, to be honest with you. And so he said, hey, we have a running crew now. And so just come run with us. And so we showed up and we ran 3-4 miles, which is probably less than what you normally did on a day. And I got my name and probably didn't go back for a while. Had this rule of like, I don't drive longer than the workout is. And it was 30 minutes over there. And by the time we ran over, and I already had my buddy. I started. That was how I started. So now there's an AO next to where I lived. Had fast forward 10 years, I would have been an F3 the whole time, but it just happened to be across the way.
So you're saying that you went to F3 and then you didn't really show up very much until you went to Idaho? Is that what you're saying?
I probably from 2014 to 2015, I just didn't get the second F. I already had it. There was no need there. I had my buddy, had all this second F time with him, and when I moved to Idaho, I kind of started seeing it. I queued my first time in 2015, and I got to see. And I don't pray in front of people. I haven't. That was honestly that when I queued was probably the last time I prayed in front of people. But it didn't hit. And then I moved to Idaho, and it was 5 years of me without everything. I put on weight. COVID, probably that last year, I was drinking a 12-pack a day. Life without F3. I mean, I know Dark Helmet talks about this all the time. He wants to ensure that nobody grows up without access or opportunity to F3. We want our kids to grow up knowing when you this is here for you at all times, but really going to be here for you when you take these reins on your own. I got to feel that. I got to feel that for 5 years I was kind of lost. I didn't have friends and didn't have that brotherhood and so with nonprofit I run with kids. Part of my life's purpose. And a kid took off a jacket and he had an F3 symbol on his shirt. We were running, he got hot, and I got chilled. Every time I tell a story, I get chills. Anyway, I grabbed his hand and said, take me to your dad. Just take me to your dad right now. And 2 days later, I was out there with the guys. That was April 2021. Yeah, and I haven't looked back since. I've just been in love with the guys. We have a saying in Boise: if a grown man hasn't tell you he loves you, then you didn't do F3 this morning. And It's been just that Tater came out of Katy, Texas, and he just brought so much love with him, and we just kind of sprouted from there, and it's just been fun. It's been so much fun growing this.
That's cool, man. Are you still running 30, 40 miles a week?
No. No, I can get up to about 4 miles, and my knees just like, I think I have a flap in there that's like, once that flap, I'm good until I'm not. I know that, and I don't like that other side.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I tell you, sheet lock trucks. Right now, we're like 50-year-olds are scared to do stuff. 60-year-olds aren't. I guess they're used to being, you're kind of used to it. I'm still scared of getting hurt out there.
Yeah. I was going to say, tell everybody how old you are.
48 years old. I know I'm a little bit younger than guys give me credit for, so it's easy to sandbag a workout. I appreciate that, but with the big white beard.
Yeah, it's the white beard that makes you look older. You shave that thing, you look 10 years younger. So
I'll tell you, assistant principal, I have a letter in my HR file for unprofessional appearance, and it was for an unshaven face one day. And so this is heaven to me.
All right. So I didn't tell everybody your real name, right? Jonathan Stevens, is that right?
You mentioned that earlier, Jonathan Stevens.
I did? Okay. Yeah, I forget things a lot. Dial-up reminds me of stuff. That's his job.
You said his name.
All right. What's the name of the region out there in Idaho?
It's called the High Desert. We were at just F3 Boise, but we've grown a lot, and so we've had to starfish. I think we're going to starfish again. We've renamed it to the High Desert. That's essentially mine. And then the other region over there, the guys we don't talk to anymore, are called the Settlers region. I'm kidding. It's a little rivalry between us for sure. But it's high desert, and but that's Boise. That's where we are.
Okay, nice. Yeah. All right. Well, tell us what life was like. Oh, go ahead, Dial.
Well, I had a question for him while it's in my mind. Did you do the GTE or Grow Ruck out in Boise?
I hosted the GTE.
Were you part? Wasn't that the GTE that had the just amazing picture on top of the mountain for the sunriser that I remember?
It was. I didn't see that, but it was.
Okay.
I got to see the picture like you guys. Great stories behind that I can't. Yeah. I participated in 3 GTEs. I'm also on the Freedom Ops. It's called. It used to be Grow Up, but now it's called Freedom Ops. I'm the support queue for that team. Matter of fact, next weekend I get to go to Roanoke, Virginia, and hang out with that team, and I'm really excited to hang out with those guys. But yep, I show my face around those guys quite a bit. I love that. I love that event. I love how it unlocks guys, and yeah, you'll see me there for sure.
Very
as
cool.
often as they'll let me, anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, very cool, man. All right, we'll come back to F3 because there's a lot of stuff we want to talk with you about in regard to your role right now in F3. But before that, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? Like, what was life like growing up as little Huckleberry?
I grew up, I'll just say poor, a dead-end dirt road in the middle of nowhere called Metropolis, Illinois. My father and mother met at a place called Bob Jones University, if you know where that is.
Bob Dylan?
Bob Jones University.
Bob Jones. Oh, yeah.
Side of that spectrum.
Wait, Bob Jones. I thought that was in South Carolina for some reason. Wow.
Yep. We moved to South Carolina
All right,
when I was in middle school. But I grew up as a preacher's kid, a fourth of four, and my dad, he 80s recession hit him a little bit. We would, Metropolis, Illinois wasn't a hustling and bustling kind of place. He had a job at a hotel, Embassy Holiday Inn, I think it was, and he got transferred down to Columbia, South Carolina. We moved down there, and grew up pretty much in South Carolina. Went to high school with Deuce Staley. You should love that.
Did you really?
It was a really he was a man among boys. Let me tell you, that man, they're huge. He's an animal. I think he went in a football team. He was quarterback and wide receiver. He threw to himself, I think. He was that much of a standout. It was fun to go to school. And let's go ahead and give a shout out to Kellen Moore as well. We'll take that Boise credit for your offensive coordinator.
Right. Kellen Moore, Boise State quarterback back in the day. Yeah. He just got hired by the Saints. Not a surprise, but he just got hired by the Saints as their head coach.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the price you pay for winning a Super Bowl. You lose your assistant coaches, I guess.
Price of success is more work, I think.
Yeah, exactly. All right.
So went to high school there, and then didn't go to college right away, and I didn't have any money, to be honest with you. And after I kind of became an independent, there was some different paperwork, and I was able to go to college in Charleston. And about that time, I started substitute teaching. I fell in love with working with special needs kids, and so kind of it just hit right. Went to school down there. I was going to be a marine biologist, but I decided to work with special needs kids, and then stayed in for a master's degree to work in elementary ed, and then came out, and that was about the time 9/11 happened, and there was a lot of discussions. All my friends went to the Army way, and I went to decided to go back for a master's and work on educational administration, and after 3 years in special ed, I worked with the kids with the padded rooms, the ones that don't follow the rules, my favorite kids. I got to work with them, and then after 3 years, I was assistant principal down in South Carolina for 10 years. And then we visited in Boise in 2015, and decided this was a pretty cool place. Everybody's outside, everybody's still fit. Everybody's out. It wasn't the South where we're all still inside, and just a lot more active community. And we had a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old at the time. We were like, man, that's a great place to live. Let's go check this place out. And we could. And I don't know if you guys remember, but there was a hurricane, flooded our house anyway. Just everything hit right around that time. And we made the move. We made the big jump. And outside of that, I was helping with a running program in Lexington, South Carolina for kids. There's a program called Girls on the Run nationwide. Has changed the world. The world. When you look at when I grew up with girls who had to go play volleyball, stay in your lane, there's no other teams, nothing. And Girls on the Run started with young girls in confidence, and you look at some power athletes that exist today because of people planting seeds long ago. Same thing with boys. Boys were in my office all the time. They just need to get out and move. They just need to run, and it needs some competition. They need to roughhouse a little bit, but we don't do that anymore. And so we kind of, Jesse started this running program, and man, I could tell you, there's just days where I just knew this is what I wanted to do. So when I moved to Boise, went back to teaching special needs kids, and but we started this program, this nonprofit running program for kids, SoulKids, and it's done good. It's done well, and it's gotten a lot of kids moving. had a 4-year-old. Had a 4-year-old run a 5K, and all we did was just not get in their way. And that's just what we try to do: create space and let kids. Tired of telling them no. Tired of telling them they can't do stuff. And honestly, we just need to get out of their way. And so that's been phenomenal. We've grown out over to Seattle. Grand Oregon is growing. I don't know. There's a ton of people getting people running nowadays because of what Run Hard did in South Carolina. And in COVID, the landscape kind of cleared. And with all the running companies, people wanted refunds. It took a hit. The whole running industry pretty much took a hit. And we missed it. We came in after that and said, you know what, let's do it. And our first race had 170 people. Fast forward a year, 2 years, that race has 2,000 people. And so that kind of took over what we do, getting people motivated, active, go out there and live. That's what we do. That's how I live my life.
Tell me a little bit more. It's called SoulKids, and basically you get them running. Do they show up for I don't know what you want to call it, casual runs, training runs, that kind of stuff? How many days a week? How do you do this?
It's like F3. It's a lot like F3 in that it depends on the coach. It depends. We give them a lot of freedom. I love, if you're running with me, we're going to go on an adventure. I'm going to take you through some neighborhoods, down a secret creek. We're going to run over the logs. We're going to find some things that your parents won't let you go to because you can't leave the house anymore. And we're going to take them to the neighborhoods. We're going to find every park. I tell them, man, there's a park a mile away. We run to it. And we play on that playground. And then we're like, hey, there's another park a mile away. And Boise is designed to be very commuter friendly. It's a lot of walkers, so we have sidewalks everywhere, and it's a very safe place to do that. I know in South Carolina, we couldn't leave campus. There just wasn't infrastructure there. But so this is a place where kids can still go run around and be free. Oh man, you should see it. You should see it. We just got kids running all over the place, running up and down. We'll plug them. We'll let them pick up trash. And it's just changing the way kids get to be. I just miss all the freedoms kids used to have. And so when you come to SoulKids for me, we're going to run. We're going to go explore. We're going to go on an adventure. We'll probably get 1 to 2 miles in at the beginning. At the end, we're getting around 4 to 5 miles in, and then we race. We rent out the blue field at Boise State, and we put about 1,000 kids, and we let them go. We tear them loose, and I think our fastest runner is right around a 19-minute fifth grader. It's just 5K? Really cool. 4 or 5K. Yep. It's really
That's
cool.
fast.
Yeah, I can't.
So you said you had a 4-year-old run a 5K. What is your age range for these kids?
I say we have 12-year-olds that shouldn't be out there, and I have 4-year-olds that run circles around us. If you put a watch on a kid and let them on the playground, they're going to do 2 miles. They're just going to keep moving. So we don't stress the running. We stress the let's get out, breathe. Let's get this fresh air. Let's go live. Let's get off the screens for just a minute. I know that they're part of the lives, but let's take a break and let's show you how to run through neighborhoods safely. As long as it's not a safety risk, we'll run you. All the research says starting at age 4, it's an hour and a half of vigorous activity a day, and that's what we provide, according to all the national guidelines and health requirements. So, yeah, that's what we do.
Awesome. Sounds like a great program.
It's so much fun, and nobody looks at us and saying, "What are you doing out there?" You must be such a good guy. that's probably what we get into is, "Hey, he's a special ed teacher, and he just goes and runs with kids. He must be the nicest guy in the world."
Yeah,
that's sometimes true.
Yeah, you mentioned Girls on the Run earlier. I know we've programs around this area have started kind of within each local town, and it's been neat to see that movement grow over the past 10. Maybe 15 years now. It's probably been
94 is when they started in Charlotte, just like F3.
I don't think it's been around this area that long, but definitely seen and heard about the growth of it throughout the different towns in our region. So.
And before the COVID, we were battling childhood obesity and some mental health a little bit there, and after COVID, we're still doing the same things, and getting out moving is still working. It fixes everything. It really does. And so I love it. That's what we do.
That's cool, man. Do you get any F3 guys that help you with it?
It's a natural fit. Yeah, absolutely. I have coaches, F3 guys coach, F3 guys, tons of parents at the race. They essentially set up the race for us in the mornings. F3 comes in and puts the whole thing on their shoulders. And I like it. We do a workout on the blue. Our November race, we do a beat down on the blue. Then we have to spend an hour setting up, and then the guys go run a 5K with their kids. It's one of the best. And you're done by 9, but it's one of the best. It's my favorite day of the year.
That's neat, man. So, when you were in school, when you were younger, were you a runner then?
Not at all. I played soccer. I played soccer.
Soccer? Yeah.
My wife got pregnant in 2000. Well, we got pregnant in 2010, and we put on the weight and all the weight. And then 3 years later, the weight was still there, and she came in with another positive pregnancy test, and I said, I can't do this. I can't. And I learned on my own that 4 o'clock in the morning was a time that no one cared about. You could go do whatever you wanted to, just don't wake me up. And so my running buddy and I started running, and that was it. It was out of necessity. It was the only place and time we could carve for ourselves. We didn't know the F3 model then, but it makes sense.
Yeah. Did you what kind of races, what distance races have you run? Have you run any marathons?
I've run 5 marathons, 2 ultras, and I tried to do I tried when I was running to do a half marathon a month. That's kind of my desire. 5Ks will kill you. They're just too fast. I can't do it. Half marathon is perfect for me. I can recover quickly. You feel good. Yeah, that's my jam.
Hey, by the way, Dial Up.
He said that right, DFib. 5Ks are too hard compared to a half marathon. I know what he's talking about. The intensity level for a 5K is just like right to the rev limiter, for 5K.
A long time.
18, 20 minutes, whatever it is at your age.
And a half, you keep it just below.
Yeah. Yep. It's a long grind at a high level. And yeah, half marathon is just, it's hard, but it's just, much more casual, we'll say.
Dial Up is a really good runner, Huckleberry.
Speaking my love
loves
language,
running. Yeah. But he hasn't done any ultras yet. Well, how long were the ultras that you did?
50Ks, 31 miles. First one took me 7 hours. I did it out there in Lexington with F3 actually. No help, and Dunphy did it along there with me. And the one in Boise, I signed up for it, but I didn't realize we're running at 2,700 feet, and we had like 6,000 feet of gain, and I just didn't know that. That one took me 9.5 hours. I finished it, but yeah, it's a little different out here running out in the Pacific Northwest at the elevation for sure. It took me a while.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he should have been named Forrest Gump. He's got the beard. He's a runner. That would have been a good name. Huckleberry's good though. Dial Up. If you start running ultras, you got to grow a beard like that.
Yeah, the M will nix that idea real quick.
Yeah.
And I just tell you, my M would nix me cutting this off. Like it's just bad.
Really?
So yeah. It just needs to stay for sure.
I had a beard for COVID, and my wife tolerated it then, but the time came, and once it came off, I don't think it'll come back. I kind of push it. I shave about once a week, depending on what's happening.
Whether I need it or not.
When we planted the shovel flag here, it was right in the middle when COVID got bit, really hit hard. So it was like we wanted to launch in, I think March was my target date, but we had to do it virtually for the couple months until we hit May where we were able to do it. But Dial Up had a beard back then when we first started, and a beard and a belly,
and a little fatter, a little more insulation.
Yeah, me too. I didn't have a beard, but I had the belly. Yeah, so that's cool, man. It's amazing to me what some guys do. I mean, how hard is that? Let's get kids out to run, and make them better. And do you ever try to teach them any life lessons through this stuff?
Honestly, working in public ed, I worked with. I'll tell you a story. One of my proudest accomplishments. I just moved to Boise, and I was working. I had to go into a IEP meeting, if you're familiar with that, and there's some dynamics with schools that get tough, but there was a Down syndrome kid, and her parents were in there, and they just wanted that kid in a regular ed class. And I don't know, the kid. You can make your case. I don't care. It's the parent's kid. Somebody made a statement, and I said, "That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life." And I got called in, and it's like, "You can't say that." And I was like, "Well, it was the dumbest thing I'd ever heard in my life." And what the person said was, that kid needs to go in the portable in the back and learn with the other kids of that caliber. That's where we need to show these parents that you have a Down syndrome kid. You need to learn what a Down syndrome kid is like. And they just want the kid to go to college. And I was like, I'm with them. We're going to take that kid to college. And at the time, and this was 2016. And this wasn't that long ago. And that didn't exist. That kid right now is a junior at Boise State University. The education probably pushed me into seeing what was probably more value for kids: confidence, belief in yourself, and that didn't come through schools. Schools just don't naturally grow that. It's a hard place for kids. You got to have the smartest kid in the class and not the smartest kid. And I worked with the other kids, so we had to kind of change the system. And so when you empower kids, they do better. And something about physical fitness and doing hard things and working towards those goals. Maybe academics isn't, but man, we can get you confident somewhere else. And honestly, I was just struggling, I worked with the kids that failed the system year after year after year after year. And, it kind of beat my head against the wall, and it's the same problem. And here's this guy screaming and crying that kids can't succeeding anymore. And so honestly, what I do now is success across the board with kids, and every kid is successful. If you go that 3 miles, I don't care how long it took you. Oh my God, you're getting the finisher medal. You earned it. We got some trophies for the ones who run the fastest for sure. But man, then what we do, it takes me an hour and 15 minutes to put on the show. Every single kid comes across there with so much confidence and so much belief in themselves. I can't see myself going anywhere else, to be honest with you. That's kind of what pushed me into that role. Is that answer your question? I just kind of went off.
Yeah, that's good, man. That's really good. All right. What do you get? What has F3 done for you? Tell me what, just being part of F3, what's it done for you?
Simple things. Before F3, man, if I got mad at a dude, I was done with you. I wasn't like repairing that relationship. I wasn't working on it. I was like, man, screw that guy. I'm gone. Man, F3's shown me the guys, like who they are, and like in different capacity. I got friends with my kids. We got the same kids, so we hang out together, and we're friends as long as that lasts. But it's a totally different medium. I'm enamored with the tool that F3 is and how it just collects so many good guys from across the world. Are you kidding me? And then, and so it just, I'm a better listener. I don't pray, but I certainly bend the knee and listen to a lot of other guys pray. And I think that's amazing. I wish we as men could just open up and listen. I think F3 is breaking down barriers with that. I'm all in. I drank the Kool-Aid, I guess, as you could say. My wife would swear we just did this Valentine's thing where the guys on the podcast were asking the wives to say, what does F3 mean to you? And just so many things. We have had conversations where it's taken too much time. It's taken a lot of time away from the family a little bit, and there's been some juggling. But overall, man, I just love being a dad now. I'm a better dad. I understand my kids more, I think. Bringing our kids out to F3, getting to have all these uncles. Mm-hmm. It's just meant the world to us. So I don't have family here. My family's 2,000 miles away. This is the one I got. I choose this one. I love this one. So yeah. It's meant. It's my everything kind of right now. So I love it.
Very cool.
And it allows me to go get other people healthy. And so, we want to get the whole family healthy, and this is just a great fit.
Yeah, that's neat, man. I agree with everything you said. Obviously, I mean, F3 can do so many things for.
That's boring.
Well, I'm sure we can find something I disagree about, but we haven't got there yet. But anyway, it's like most of the guys when we ask them that question, they say that it's the confidence level that they've gained from becoming more fit, doing it with other guys, getting the encouragement, and just finding out they could do hard things. And that's one of the things that I've discovered. Being a part of F3 is, boy, I didn't think I could do that. I never knew I could do that. But, I gave it a shot and I did it kind of thing. So, and along with that comes just a little bit more real confidence, right? Not fake self-confidence. But the real kind of stuff that plants a seed in you really deep, right? And you could, and then it carries over to the rest of life, among many other things. And you mentioned helping other guys get better, and that's what it's really all about in the end, right? We want to get from when we first show up, being there for ourselves, and we always have to be there for ourselves because we have to get right and live right first, but before we could really help other guys. But we got to get to the point where we're showing up because we love the other men, and we want to be there for them and we want to help them, and that helps us hold us accountable, right?
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that because I do hear a lot of guys starting off with, I'm here for the next guy. Like, that's not why you showed up the first time. You didn't know that guy was going to be there. And you do come for yourself, and I hope it's great to you. I hope it's good for you. It's not good for everybody. It's open to all men. We didn't say it's for all men. That guy gets to choose that. But I'm so glad to hear you say that guys should come in and expecting to learn something and to change, whether it's the leadership skills, whether it's the physical skills, whether it's confidence. This is here to offer you something, and I hope you find it.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And, they're not mutually exclusive, right? You could be there for yourself and for other guys. So, and that's what it should be all about. Cool. Now you've held different positions in your region and that kind of stuff, but somehow this guy named Dark Helmet found out about you, and I'm sure he voluntold you to be the Q of culture. How did that happen?
I don't know, to be honest with you.
All right.
We met, and I'm pretty active on the interweb, just as much as he is. And I was like, this is the first time he hasn't been here. Like every other meeting I've been in, he's like been right there. And he's like, I'm going to talk before you, and I'm going to talk after you. And I'm going to make sure you don't get out of that box. This way, he cut me loose so I can say whatever I want. Nice. I know there was an incident in Katy, Texas at Grow Rock that I got real frustrated and I yelled at a lot of people. I apologized since then. I've talked about it. I got very frustrated, and after it was over, I think I emailed it about everybody I could find and say, hey, I think I can help. I think with my event kind of knowledge, and it was disruptive. I know if you want to, I know at some point in your life you have to be disruptive. And I've done that, and a couple times, even in the F3 capacity. Somehow, after that event, I got put on to be host Q for Boise. There, that picture. And the best. Can I tell you a quick story about the GT?
Sure.
I'm kind of a jerk sometimes, and I don't really like cadre. They're like not my favorite people. They're just not. Like I'm not cadre. I don't want to be cadre. But I love who they are and what they do. But they're kind of bossy. And so for all of the planning, I kept peppering in this language of how there's bears out here, there's moose, and there's all these wild animals. And they have no clue, because nobody's ever been to Boise. They just know it's out here in the middle of nowhere, and there's bears out there. So they all went and bought bear spray. And they all were carrying around bear spray for the entire event. And no one knew the joke. I never told anybody. I had one guy, I think it was Gopher, came up and he said, hey, why do you keep telling them that stuff? And I was like, I don't know. I just want to mess with them. I think it's funny. Well, they all showed up wearing bear spray, and then they gave a training session to the guys here about if we run into a bear. And all the local guys were like, what are they even talking about? And they left.
Awesome.
The cadre left Boise with the bear spray. They had no idea this was all a joke, and we're all laughing. Uncle Rico gets on a plane with the bear spray in his carry-on. He gets pulled out to the security room. And,
oh, man.
Okay, anyway. I got to be host Q for 38. It was an amazing event, first 24-hour event. Guys were just amazing. Had a guy come in and do some film stuff, and he did great. And I was real frustrated at the Katy event because of some things. There was a locked gate. Is really what it boiled down to. We were in a place where we couldn't get to some guys because there was a locked gate. The top of that, where that picture was, there was a locked gate. I told myself I'd never get caught with a locked gate, and I was not on top of that hill because a locked gate got me. Same thing that I was mad about in Katy, Texas. It got me. And I'm not in that picture. I'm down the bottom of the hill behind a locked gate, and every time I see that picture, I'm like, man, I screwed up. Anyway, but it's a beautiful picture. Thank you.
Yeah,
Oh, man.
Double dip for taking that picture, but and so from there, I got invited to be on the support Q team. That's what I do. I think if I could, one of my side missions is every CSOP, every big event that we do, man, pull a guy out. Just let him just sit over there. Let him be the guy that runs against the 80. He should not be in the workout. We're just sitting there watching, supporting, because when something does go bad, and we have seen time and time again it does, let's put that in place. Let's put a guy in place to be support that just doesn't have any other duties. He's just there to make sure when things go bad, there's a plan B. So that I got to have that conversation. We went to Frick Camp this time last year. All the cool kids. If you haven't been to Frick Camp or GT Camp, Crow Road Camp, it's just a bunch of good dudes that get together for a weekend. I don't know why you wouldn't want to go. But I got to meet Dark Helmet. I got to talk a little bit. And something must have happened that weekend. I don't know. I know he jumped in our local Slack and he kind of kept an eye on things for a little bit. He did tell me. He said, he told me this and he said it in a call. So I'm going to repeat it. And I hope I didn't mess it up. But he's not here, so who cares? He said he knows the Charlotte metro area, and he says everybody he knows what F3's always been. Boise and some of these newer regions are the product of what took place. It's like the F3 kind of 2.0. We have new ideas, we have new iterations, we have new nuances. Prayer isn't as prevalent over here as it is on the East Coast. And so he just wanted somebody in with a new perspective, coming in, respect to the past, but also, man, we were coming fresh, 10-year, brand new energy that they had. Now, I'm not saying they don't have the brand new energy, but we do. I know we do. So he just wanted that perspective to come in. And I think he felt like I was maybe willing to give it. I don't know. I am. I know that. So I think that's how I got selected. And again, I've said this before, I stand on the shoulders of giants. We've had a lot of help. 88, the Gold Rush team out of there at Sacramento has been phenomenal. Lexington, South Carolina, no help. Oh my God, every time I have a question. Taters coming out of Katy, Texas. We've had some big regions kind of help us get started. And so we've just been successful, I think. That's my guess. I don't know.
All right,
The
so what do you
beard.
plan on?
The beard.
Yeah, and the beard.
Yeah.
But what do you? By the way, are you wearing a? Do you have a ponytail or a mohawk? What's going on?
Oh, I do. So I have a bald spot, but if you shave it down, you can't see it. So this is
There you
all I
go.
got left.
That's
And
a
I'm
good
la-
look, man.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, you look like a Viking.
And I
I'm
get
watching
that.
Vikings on Netflix. I'm on season 5, so I'm all into Vikings now. Yeah, you look
I
like a
love me some
Viking. Dude.
Vikings.
You gotta get some tattoos on your head and your face, and you'll be a Viking.
I probably won't do that. I probably won't do that.
Draw
But
the line there. All right, so so what's your plans now as the Q of Culture? What do you got in store for us?
I don't know. I know it's an interesting position, and culture is so huge. And it really takes all of us. When you boil it back down to what is F3? What is F3? It's a dude, and that dude shows up. That dude will show up, and that I think that's about as I can't get it. I am back in F3 because that flag showed up in front of my face. It was put there. I can't tell you how many barriers were removed to get that dang flag in the ground. And in 100 years, when I'm gone, that dang flag is still going to show up, and it will, and it'll be there. And I just owe homage to that, and I want to collect what guys are doing all across the nation and the world, and I want to tell the world what we're doing. I do. Mm-hmm. I think we're doing a good thing. I think men, as definition, I think we're experts. I think we know as men what it takes to be men in today's moment. We are engaged in the discussion of how to be good fathers, how to be good dads. I said that twice. How to be good husbands, how to go to work and be a good employee, and how to be a good boss. We're the premier experts in this dialogue, and I think we need to step forward and show the world like this is no, you're wrong. We're the experts, and we need to take that lead and I think the world's kind of giving men a chance to be men again. For whatever. I'm not doing the political thing, but I do. I think we as men need to say this is who we are. There's still some things we need to fix out there as men. We need to be able to tell each other we love each other. We're still struggling over that. We shouldn't do that anymore. And F3 is leading the way in so many capacities of developing good men across the nation. And it's regardless of political party, religion, race, you name it. It's just doing the world such a great thing. And I do want to accelerate that, to be honest with you. I love it. I think it's just the coolest thing that's ever been. That's what I want to do. If I can, we'll see.
Talking about culture, like across different regions, and you talked about Charlotte versus kind of newer culture of a newer region, I guess, out in Boise. Have you observed this? I'm just curious to hear your thoughts on this. But we're kind of rural area. I've posted probably 6, maybe 7 different regions as I've traveled and been downrange in different areas, and it's always interesting to me that you go to different regions and there's a lot of primarily, I'd say mostly similarities where that culture is the same no matter where you go. But I'm always amazed at how each region, the culture is also very unique. Just little things, kind of how they do things, attitude, just the mumble chatter in general. Mm-hmm. Do you see that, or is that just an observation I may be noticing more than actually what's there? What do you think?
I think let me read something.
We inspired a quote.
And you know, where'd Joe go? There's that. I lost you. There we are. I think what I've seen, and there's a couple. I think there's an ebb and a flow with everything. There's a, when you're out there OTBing and it's just you and another dude and it's a grind, and we're just, did I go bad?
Well, Huckleberry has frozen.
He has frozen up.
Hang tight.
Let's get him
coming
back.
Coming back.
Huckleberry, you back?
There
Yeah,
he
back.
is.
Yeah.
All right, we got your back.
Ebb and a flow.
So all of a sudden we fly the flag. There's a ton of energy, and all of a sudden maybe that AOQ changes, and maybe that guy took his pack of friends with him, and it's kind of starting over, and then some AOs start off with 12 dudes, and there's 12 dudes there all the time, and then within that there's some AOs love the macho kind of the trash talk, and maybe they're the ones that have the burpee penalties for showing up late or HC and not showing up, and then there's other AOs across the way that just it's more about camaraderie. They're just, man, my point is, man, you knew you were going to be late. You could have just turned right around. You just could have turned right around, and you chose to keep coming. And we'll get to that 50 burpee penalty in just a second. But until then, I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad you made it, and that's all I care about. You made it, and so. And you get, and I hear, the established reasons. Man, it's fun when it's new, isn't it? It's just like, it's just you. It's just you and 3 other dudes. Like, if we don't do this isn't going to get done. And all of a sudden we grow into 3 regions and there's 200 packs, and it's like, somebody else will take care of it. So it's keeping up that intensity, keeping up all those things that made it be the thing you needed it to be, and not letting that fade. But in every region is Seattle, I think they kind of eliminated the prayer a little bit because it was more of a barrier. Still ends a circle of trust, just doesn't have the prayer per se. Charleston does a pledge at the beginning or end or whatever. And so it's to be respectful of all the cultures and how they interpret F3. And I think what Dark Helmet has done in the past year is really bring it stripped down, just make it simple, get back to the basics of who we actually are. And yeah, let the regions go to town on their little nuances and how they do second half lunches. But I think that the story that remains the same no matter where you are is guys are just moved. Guys are just changed. And we just hear it over and over again, almost to a point it gets boring. You just hear it so often. It just changed a guy's life. I'll read it again. Sorry to hear that. So I think that's the culture. If we strip away, but getting guys they take ownership of that AO and that culture in there. You go in there and you tell a guy this ain't how it's supposed to be. Yeah, good luck. I ain't doing that. Nope, that ain't happening. So, we'll see. I think I hope guys travel more. Go travel more and just see, man, this is what a good guy looks like over here. This is what a good guy sounds like over there. Because that's all they are. It's a bunch of good dudes.
Yeah, I've never actually counted how many downrange different regions I've been in AOs, but I've been to at least, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6 different AOs in Florida. St. Louis, I was to 3 different AOs in St. Louis. I know I'm missing a couple here, but anyway, Dallop's been downrange too, but we experienced the same thing. There's something that's unique about having this kind of community, right? And I know there are other groups that might have a similar thing, but I could post at least from my experience, everywhere I post, I know it's going to be like you said. It's the guys. The guys that are showing up are the guys that, they want to get up early. They're going to show up. They're going to do this. We kind of have the same language, and we're there to
show me a better group out there. I'm out. I'm leaving right now.
Right? Yeah, they're just good guys out there trying to do right, trying to do life right, and trying to get better. And regardless of whether you have a penalty for showing up late or not, it's in the end. You're going to probably do side straddle hops and merkins and run a little bit and whatever, and you're going to support each other through the process. And so that's been my experience. So I want
to tell you my first downrange experience. My best friend was getting married in South Carolina. I hadn't seen him in a long time because I moved here. But anyway, 45 years old. I didn't think he was ever going to get married. Finally, he is. He's going to get married. I knew his whole life, and it was never going to be his best man because his dad was going to be his best man. Just before 2 years before he got married, his dad died. I didn't bring it up. I didn't say a word about it. I didn't say nothing. Small wedding. I had to fly over to Jacksonville, and the Thursday before the wedding, I was like, hey man, what's the dress attire? I'm just flying in. I'm gonna be quick and not just sit in the back. He goes, I need you to wear a tux. You're in the front row. And I was like, I don't know if you know how tuxes work, but I don't think I get one by the flight tomorrow. And I put on Slack, hey, I need a 42 regular. And bada bing, and his crew down there, and man, they had a tuxedo waiting on me.
Wow.
And shoes. And I got to go wear a tux. And they don't even know they don't know who I am. They just put that all together so I could go be at my best friend's wedding. It means so much to me. So if you come to Boise, I'm gonna tell you what. I'm gonna roll out the red carpet, and you're gonna say, "Man, why is Huckleberry so dang nice?" I'm gonna say it's because of those Jacksonville boys and what they did for me a couple years ago at my best friend's wedding. And I owe that to them. Yeah. That's right.
Well, I told you, you and I talked, I don't know, a few weeks ago. Met you for the first time when we had a meeting at Zoom or whatever the heck we used, a virtual meeting for the podcast guys, and you were on there, and I called you after that. But you asked me, how would you do this? How would you do this Q of culture thing? And I talked about coming up with some way to write down a description of the culture, and be a good idea to find out from other guys. How would you describe the culture? How would you describe the culture of F3? And I told you that I sent a text message to Dredd to ask him if he would send me something, and he said he would. He's working on it, so we'll see what he has to say about it. He said it's not going to be short, so which is great. That's fine.
It shouldn't be.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting thing, because my guess is the culture of F3 is something that every guy knows, but most guys would have a hard time putting into words.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like that congressman back in the 80s who talked about pornography. I can't define it for you, but I know it when I see it. And maybe you can't define it, but you know it when you're in it, when you're in the culture of F3. And so I don't know. Maybe we'll come up with something that's better than what I just said. But I don't know, Dial-Up, what do you think? How would you describe the culture of F3?
I'm just worried that you said you'll know pornography when you're in it. Do you have something?
When you see it,
you need to confess
when
to us?
see it. I'd say in it. Did I say in it?
We're gonna roll the tape back. I'm pretty sure you said you'll know it when you're in it. I don't know. We'll go back.
I don't think anybody has access to those 1980 films. No, I'm just kidding. I meant to say when I see it. When I see it. I don't know. Yeah. I hope I said see it.
I'll go back. It'll be a short clip that we'll use in our promo for this podcast. For sure.
I like it.
A YouTube reel or whatever it's called, right? Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think? Like you said, as soon as you started saying it, you saw me. I was going like this. It's hard. Yeah. It is. It's hard to put in the words. The easiest thing that comes to mind, and it's kind of maybe cliche or overused, is brotherhood, right?
Yeah.
And can I just
go ahead.
Thing bothers me. I get a lot of hits over I didn't get any friends. I didn't get any social networking friends. We don't guarantee you friends. Man, you're probably as successful getting friends in F3 as you are out of F3, but what we guarantee you is brothers. They're guys that even if they don't like you, they will show up for you, and that's what I call a brother. So yeah, sorry to interrupt.
No. Yeah, that's the first thing. I'll kick it back to you. What's a word that comes to mind for you? Describe it. DFib.
If I had to boil it down to one word, which isn't fair, you should be more descriptive than that. But one word for me would be love.
Oh,
and that's the culture for me, because if you're showing up to get better, hopefully you're doing it to get better because you love your wife and you want to serve her better. You love your kids. You want to serve them better. You want to be around a little bit longer because you love your family. You love the men that are there, and you love your country and you love your community and you love the Lord, and you're supposed to be a good steward of this body that He gave us. So for me, if I had to boil it down to one word, I would say love. And that's, how do guys show up? Remember, my gosh, the podcast that probably will be last week's podcast. This one will probably drop after the one I'm about to refer to. But oh no, it's the current yeah. Well, anyway,
Well, it's the current one that had to be pulled. That'll be reposted
well,
next.
no, this is different. This is Huggies. Remember Huggies said he had a
Huggies,
stroke.
got it. Yeah.
Huggies, yeah, it's the episode that's actually airing right now. Huggies had a stroke, had an F3 workout. They had 80 different F3 guys come through the ICU. Men from other regions showed up. And when he got out of the hospital, he went home. He had like 30 or 40 people lined up on both sides of his sidewalk with all these shovel flags as he walked into his house after he got discharged from the hospital. What could prompt men to do that, especially when you don't even know the guy that well? What could prompt men to give you a tuxedo when you land in Florida who've never met you, other than love, right? Brotherly love. So that's the word I come up with when we're talking about this. And I think as men get into the F3, if they really buy in, and what's the mission is to develop leaders, right? And you can't lead well unless you love the people you're leading. You know, I mean, it's really hard. You could lead effectively, but I don't think you'll lead quite as well if you don't really care for the people that you're supposed to be leading. And it's supposed to be a leadership development program. And so, if when you join F3, if you don't at some point make the progression to being there not just for yourself but for the other men, then you're missing it. You're missing the whole point. Right, the third F, faith, is supposed to be believing in something bigger than yourself, so you don't think you're the center of the universe. So that you serve others, you put yourself right. In F3, we call it living third. Your God is first, everyone else is second, and you're third. And this is all biblical, by the way. But again, it all comes down to love. You love your neighbor as yourself. And so that I'm rambling on a little too long about this, but that's the word I got.
Keep going. That's good words. Thank you.
I think so. You've inspired me now. I think I have the queue. My next queue is next Friday. But if no one has any little, naked moleskin, something to share, a lesson to teach, discussion topic here over the next couple of posts, I think we need to ask that to the PAX and see what kind of responses we get, DFib. So
good idea. I'm off to Friday. I'll be there Friday and Saturday. So
okay. Maybe Friday or Saturday we'll slip it in. We'll see what the numbers are like. Got a good group of guys that let's get their feedback. I'm curious to hear what guys would say now.
It might be a good conversation at cafeteria depending on the temperature
there
outside. You want to be there, Huck? Maybe we'll tune you in. Maybe we'll FaceTime you. Right?
We'll report back.
How far is this from Roanoke? Roanoke?
Pretty far.
Yeah, 5 hours, somewhere
about
in
7 hours. Yeah, it's 6 hours to Lynchburg, and Roanoke's a little south of that. I think it's about 7 hours to Roanoke.
See, I'd love to come out to Boise, to see that area. I bet you
it's 6 hours to any city you want to go to.
Yeah,
it's just that far out here.
I was to Boise once when I was a teenager. I had an uncle that was in the Air Force at Mountain Home, Idaho. Right?
Yep.
Is my memory serving correct? And my grandma was out there living with them for 6 months or so, and my mom and I flew out to spend a week out there and then fly my grand back home. And then she stayed with my other aunt then for about 6 months after that. And it was beautiful. I remember just as a kid, I still see the pictures my mom has of just how gorgeous that area is out there in the mountains. Neat place.
It is. They convinced everybody it was about potatoes, and that's it. And people were like, I don't care. I don't care about those potatoes. And nobody showed up here. And it's still, you can get out in the wild, and you're the only one there for miles and miles and miles and miles. And, just potatoes, all this place is.
Yeah.
That's it. So.
I remember the memory I have as a kid is we drove but we got him uncle's pickup truck. We loaded in there, and we drove. As a kid, it felt like hours on these back roads through beautiful mountains, and somehow we ended up at this backwoods country bar with snow. The road had been snowplowed, and like everything had melted except for the piles of snow that were like around this backcountry bar, and like we were the only ones in there, and just the awesomest dude that was running the place, and I might have been 10, 11, 12 years old, but I could still like vividly imagine this experience and like just how unique it was and just different from anything I'd ever experienced as a kid before.
Atlanta, Idaho. It's a 3-hour, still to this day, god awful, steep, bumpy dirt road. But once you get back there, it's just magical. I'm hoping that's
where you went. Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
Was that
no idea.
Your first visit to a Twin Peaks? that was that?
No, that was not my first. Well, yeah. There was no such thing as the Twin Peaks back then. Were what I thought the actual Twin Peaks, the restaurant, was.
Mountains.
And just beautiful mountains, right?
All right.
And Bing, if you're listening, when I was down in Florida there back at the beginning of the month, the beginning of January, I did not visit the Twin Peaks down in your neck of the woods. So
in Sarasota, you missed out.
There was a discussion of it briefly that we should go because my wife did like the Twin Peaks restaurant, but we did not go.
Instead, they went to the place of the world's largest chicken wing.
We just stopped there. That was a photo op. We didn't actually go.
You didn't eat? Oh, man.
And where was this?
This was down in like Clearwater area, Florida, a little south of that. Treasure Island, right? Treasure Island, yeah. Mm-hmm. Pleasure Island, Treasure Island, Pleasure Island, Pleasure Island. One of those two. One of those islands. Something. There was a beach.
Depends on what you're doing.
Yeah.
Depends on what you're doing on that island. Dial-Up, I did ask it this last Saturday in cafeteria. I went around the table, asked the guys to describe the culture, so I did do that once. Oh. It's worth continuing.
Did you just this past Saturday? Huh? Just this past Saturday?
Checked out Chat GPT yet? Yeah, you guys Chat GPT at all?
I have not used it yet. No, I use our little Copilot that we use for Microsoft.
What I love, if you put in what is the culture of F3 in Chat GPT, and let it just dig into that internet and see what it says. Man, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. It's cool. It's cool. I love what we've all put into the computers, and to see what pops back out on us. We did good. If that's our barometer. So ask the computer who we are. It did pretty good.
Just beware. Pretty soon Skynet's going to be aware.
I love AI. AI, you're my favorite. I've always been on your side. That's on the record.
All
I
right.
do that at least 5 times a day. 5 times a day. It's me and AI all the way.
Uh-huh.
I'm on your side.
All right. Well, let's wrap up this discussion with the last 2 questions that we ask every guest. Huckleberry, I don't think you've listened to this before, so you probably aren't prepared. So we're just going to hit you with them. The first question is, if you were to pick somebody, could be somebody from the distant past, somebody you know now, somebody you don't know, doesn't matter, who you would say is your inspiration, like a hero, somebody you look up to, who would that be?
Matthew McConaughey has a speech about that, about who should be your hero. He always talks about me in 10 years. And I push that direction. I know that. Yeah, that's where I draw energy from. So I do. Yeah. But that's disrespectful to, I think, a lot of people who have been in my life who have. I've just been blessed. I think I told you I grew up down for 10 years, dead end dirt road in the middle of nowhere. It's hard to get out of those places. My dad, we haven't spoken in 10 years, I don't think. My buddy reached out to me and saw this position. He's like, I think I'm going to F3 workout, so really hoping that takes place. But he worked real hard for what he got, and that's a good question. I owe a lot to a lot of people. I know that.
Sounds like you've spoken to your dad
in your life, yeah.
Yeah, how come you haven't spoken to your dad in 10 years?
That's a great question. Yeah, when I moved. And I probably didn't speak too much before then either. When you're poor, Ruby Payne talks about poverty and social classes, and the rich folk are able to keep strong bonds. But when you're in that middle class and you need to move, or poor people are able to stick together, and I'm not going to do her work any justice, but the middle class folk, we got to go where the work is, and we got to go where our family goes, and sometimes not all those things line up. Growing up how we did, it was probably hard I was the youngest, so I think my parents were going to college, and she watched a lot of us, and so I think she grew up a little too quick, and yeah, it was just a lot of family dynamics. I don't know. My mother's father died when she was 2, and he was 23 in World War II. And my dad's mom died when she was 15. So there wasn't a lot of parental relationships that extended far into the future. So I think I don't know. We'll find out one day. Maybe my parents didn't have a chance to understand a good relationship between a parent and a kid. I don't think they had that growing up. But I shouldn't say that. But I know my mom didn't have the opportunity. And so I don't know. I don't have the answer to that. I know moving forward, I want to have a relationship with my kid. I want to break that cycle.
Yeah.
I want to be, and if that means stop parenting today, and he's a 15, he doesn't need me. I'll be honest with you. I don't know. That's we can dive into that juicy thing some other time. I don't know. What's the next question?
I could tell you.
That was a tough question, and thanks for being vulnerable.
And hit you.
not calling time, not calling time out, and wanting to circle back to it. So thanks just for the raw answer you gave, sir.
I could tell you that your son's always going to need you. You say he's 15, he doesn't need you. He'll need you.
He's a good kid. Yeah. I'm excited.
I have no doubt. All right, man. Last question is: this is your chance to speak to the men of America. What's your message for the men of America?
Man, let's go do this. Let's get on this. We are leading the way, and we don't need a certification. We don't need a permission. We're not getting forgiveness. We're gonna move on this. We have large enough numbers. We can go get them. I need guys to start EHing. I need guys to pull guys in. I need if you got emeritus somewhere on your man, get back into. I need 4 Qs at every AO. I need an AOQ. I need a first F, second F, third F Q at every AO. If there's not, if you know that, then jump in. And anybody that's been an Antan, you better be a second FQ right now. We got work to do. We just do. Do we end in a prayer or anything? I got a buddy. He's in Chicago right now, and he's with his 42-year-old wife, and she's expecting a double lung transplant and liver transplant at the same time because liver's eating them up. And I get to be out here leading men and changing the world and be good. And I'm not in a hospital, and I'm not going to lose that opportunity. Dark Helmet. I said I was excited. I just said, let's do it all. Let's take this thing on. Let's go. I do believe we're at a place where we can really impact the world. And Steve Jobs calls it a ding. I just want to put a ding in the world. That's it. And we talk about how it takes 100% effort to make a 1% gain. That's where we are in life. We got to put 100% effort to get this 1% gain with our men community, and we got to push hard on this. We just need to do it together. That's where I'm coming from. That's where I hope everybody else is coming from. F3's meant a lot to a lot of us. Let's give back. Let's find out what we can do. What can you do? I know we're all busy. I know I don't got time to hear about it, so don't tell me about it. But let's put back in. Let's take back over this life, and let's be leaders in our community. And we got to do it together. We got to, if you can listen to other men, go after them, engage them, lead the way in dialogue, lead the way in discussions. Have discussions. Don't be divisive. Let's get rid of those days. Let's and F3 is leading the way. So, and I need you to know that. I need you to know you got the F3 circle on that chest. That means you're leading the way for men, and I need you to keep doing it. I need you to do it harder. Be honest with you.
Yeah. Good word, man. Good word. I like that quote. It takes 100% effort to get 1% gain. I love that. And it takes 100% effort to get out of bed when the alarm goes off at 4:30. It takes 100% effort to get out of bed when you hear 14 bones cracking when you're trying to get out of bed, and you could barely walk. Like, I'm going to go work out, and it's 10 degrees out, and my joints ache. And yeah, let's do this. 100% effort, boys. We've said before, Dial, a long time ago, when the alarm goes off, there's a lot of times I really don't want to get out of bed and do this. But every time I do, I'm glad I did. So
yeah, I've never went to a workout that I've regretted.
You never regret the runs. You never regret the runs you do. You always regret the runs you didn't do.
Absolutely.
Every time.
This is one guy who's not a runner. He's just a guy that runs, sandwiched between two runners, two crazy people out there running too far, too often. And anyway, they need it. We all need it. We all need to do hard things.
That's right.
So, by the way, Dial Up, I think I want to do the Tussie.
Ah, good.
Yeah, we have a Tussie mountain back 50-miler relay. I mean, you could do it as an individual. There's people that do it as an ultra, but you could also have up to a 9-man team. I forget the
so.
Max. I think the max is 9. You could do it 2 or 5 or whatever.
I'm hoping we have 3 teams this year for that to go.
Okay.
And I think we're going to do like a little fantasy league draft system this year.
Ooh, all right.
Because last year got good. Last year was really fun, Huckleberry. We had 2 teams on paper that looked like they would really be pretty dead even. And one of the guys sandbagged and had done some really hardcore training
not recording it on Strava.
Off of Strava, purposely.
I'll do that. Yeah.
Really, really good female. The team that I was on, we had to pull it out of the bag in the very last leg. And they had like a 2.5 minute the last down
This a relay race? Nice.
A lot of. It was a fun event though, yeah, we've had 2 teams now the past 2-3 years, and
yeah, it's really pretty.
I'm hoping
it's
this year.
October.
Yeah, fall foliage and all back roads, stone state forestry roads. It's a good time.
Yeah, the leaves are changing color. It's in State College, PA, in the middle of beautiful central Pennsylvania. So anyway, Huckleberry, you can be on one of our teams, man. Come on out to Central PA and run with us in October.
Deal. All
right, you maniac. I think you'll do it too.
When is
all right,
October
dial
11th?
up. Huh?
October 11th.
No, it's October. It's usually later in October.
Yeah, I'll have to find a date. I'm not sure what it is.
I don't know what the date is.
I'll find it.
All right. Well, that kind of wraps things up. Dial up. You got anything else to ask Huckleberry?
No, I snuck my questions in as we went along. So awesome.
All
it was great
right,
to have you on.
Yeah.
Thank you. I cannot thank y'all enough for what you do and having me on, and I appreciate you. And I was on because Dark Helmet said he wasn't going to be here, and he said I had to be.
Yeah, actually,
well,
I'm
glad that he did.
I thought Dark Helmet was going to come on because he made reference how was it? He
doubt it. Yeah, he thought he was the only one.
But I've still been on the podcast the most times, and we're like, no, sorry, dude, you haven't been.
Yeah.
When he first called me, I was like, you just want me to do all the stuff you don't want to do. I know it. He goes, and he said no at the time, but since then he's relented. Yeah,
that is what it is. Yes.
That's right.
Yeah,
all
but
right.
hey, listen.
Not that Dark Helmet doesn't like to get on here and hear himself talk.
Oh, right. Yeah. The invitation is always open to Dark Helmet and to you, Huckleberry. But Dark Helmet, we're talking about it. We're talking about him. So the invitation is always open to Dark Helmet anytime he wants to come on. If the next time he comes on, he will be the one who's been on the most. But we'll see.
Well, what's the record?
The most that people have been on is 2. We've had a number of people on twice. By the way, Dial Up, one of those guys is Cutter. Did you see he ran in the marathon in Riyadh again?
I did.
Yesterday or the day before?
Did you see this comment that some kid said something to him like, "Hey, I remember you from last year because you're the only," and he's like, "How do you remember me?" He goes, "Because you're the only guy that runs this thing without his shirt on."
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it's not a cultural thing over there to run shirtless, apparently.
Yes, in Riyadh.
And Dane Cutter is always our first Chippendale. At any beatdown. So
yep.
What it is.
I don't know. He's allergic to shirts.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, brother, stay on. I'm going to stop the recording here. We'll call it good and just stay on, and we'll make sure everything uploads. But thanks, Huckleberry, for coming on.
See you, Huckleberry. God bless you, brother.
Thank you. Love y'all. Appreciate you.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode. I would like to thank our guests for joining us and sharing their story of becoming a high-impact man. More information and resources can be found at highimpactman.com. If you like this podcast, please consider following us on our social media pages or email us at him@highimpactman.com. That is HIM@highimpactman.com. The High Impact Man podcast has a new episode every week, and you can find them on Apple Podcast, Spotify, and Google Podcast platforms. Have a great week, everyone.